So you've heard about Downcountry, you may have even heard about slopeduro, but today we're taking it up a notch. We are going to build a GRAVNESS bike, a gravel fitness bike, and in order to do that, we'll take my Canyon Roadlite. This is a bike that I've been daily riding for about 5 years now. I think it's got well over 10,000 kilometers of really horrible weather going to and from work, and we're going to modify it so that it's now a gravel bike based on a fitness bike, so a flat bar gravel bike. GRAVNESS, it's a new thing. I've already done a few modifications. As you can see, the front derailleur here is already gone. It used to come with a 2x9 Shimano Sora, but I needed a front derailleur to throw with in my classified shift hub video, so I took this one and never put it back on. And because I had no front derailleur, the chain kept dropping off, so I put a clutched Sunrace M9 derailleur on here. This can take a much bigger cassette than the whatever it is that I have on here, but it's a clutch derailleur, making it more gravel. This bike also has Schrader's air assistant tire pressure management system installed. Well, management system, monitoring system. Basically, it's this tiny little doohickey which completely ruins the balance in your wheels, and also it's horrible for your camera's autofocus. There, we finally got there. Here's a little shot of the wheel spinning so you know just how horrible for your wheel balance these little tire pressure sensors are. As you can see, I just renovated the shed, so I have somewhat of a backdrop, and that also means I'm completely out of money to do anything else. So the first thing we'll do is reuse this Canyon Iridium, I think this is a 90mm stem, to make the stem ever so slightly shorter than the 12cm stem that's on there right now. I did also buy some new stuff though, so we got these Pro lock-on grips with this pancake style ridge on here. This really helps dampening, which is very important on gravel. I also got two new tires, so this will be the Vittoria Terreno Dry in a 35C, which is actually a 37 wide for some reason. I measured the bike, I could go up to 45mm, but I was afraid with how flexible the wheels and the frame is that if I was sprinting or doing sideways landings whenever I'm jumping my GRAVNESS bike, I was afraid that it would rub. So I went slightly smaller with a 37mm wide tire. As you can see, it's fairly smooth in the middle, but it's got a bit of knobblies on the edge, so it should be all right for gravel riding. And last but definitely not least expensive, I'm going with this front chain wheel, the GRX RX 600 by Shimano. This is an 11-speed, should work with the 9-speed cassette that I have on here. It's a 40-tooth, narrow wide, and I have 170 long crank arm. So let's get this thing out of the box and throw it on the bike. Out with the old, in with the new. That was the easiest job ever. I finally bought a crankset that is the right size. That's a first for me. Anyway, slightly shorter crank arms. They're still greasy from, you know, putting them on. I should have probably taken the pedals off of my old crankset before mounting the new one. This is going to be quite a bit of a nightmare, but yeah, new crankset is on to the next job. I'm really loving these easy jobs. Now, my grips are a bit worn from crashing, obviously, so let's swap these out with the new Pro grips. Boom, there we go. Being a bike mechanic is so easy. Right, so at the bottom is the old stem, on top is the new one I'm putting on. As you can see, it'll rise my bars ever so slightly and also bring them back by about 2 centimeters. I knew things were going too easy. Fitting non-tubeless tires or tubed tires is an absolute nightmare. As you can see over here, it's still not properly seated, but I hope this kind of shows you what I'm going for. Instead of this Swalba 1, we're going with a Vittoria Terreno Dry, which is a bit thicker, a bit knobblier, should be slightly better off-road. So there you have it, the world's first GRAVNESS bike. I think it's an amazing concept. I think a lot of bike companies are going to jump on the GRAVNESS train, just like they hopped on Downcountry and slopeduro. I really hope Canyon is going to release an off-road light very soon, so all of you can enjoy this amazing idea as well. Now guys, I'll take you in for a closer look right away, but I just want you all to know this is of course a bit of a joke. I just got a new film set and I wanted to try out some stuff, and I'm not ready to post the upcoming 2 bike reviews yet, so yeah, this is what you get. Alright, so here is the finished bike. I mean finished, the bike is never finished, is it? So I'm going to go over some of the components real quick. First up is this Sunrace derailleur. This is the M9. It's a clutched 9-speed derailleur. I'm using a very short range cassette here because, well, I live in Flanders and everything is basically flat over here. You don't really need a lot of gears. That's why I'm going one by with only 9 speeds in the back. I'll probably regret that very soon, but Anyway, this derailleur, super cheap, under 40 euros, and it shifts okay, but it's a little bit loud. So that's like the mini review of the derailleur. Moving up a little bit to these air assistant valves, they call them. These things not only ruin the balance of your wheel completely, they are also incredibly restrictive when you're trying to pump up the tires. So when I'm pumping up my tires, they'll go to 14 bars first, and then this thing slowly releases pressure up to like 4 bars that I got in here right now. So they're horrible. Don't get them. It's a stupid idea, and also you have to tape them to your spokes because otherwise they vibrate and they come loose and all the air's out of your tire before you know it. Next up is my crankset, the GRX 600 crankset. I haven't really ridden it yet because it's horrible weather out here, but it looks good. It was only 80 euros brand new, so it's a good deal, good cranks. And on them I have Crank Brothers egg beater pedals. They're a little bit rusty, but the bearings are still good, so I'll keep on running these. And that brings me to the tires. I've already tried these tires on my Canyon in-flight. I no longer have my in-flight, but I had a 42, I think, millimeter wide Terreno dry on my in-flight, set up tubelessly. They worked okay. These were only 21 euros per tire, which is pretty cheap, and you kind of notice that because they're not very true. They also don't fit on the wheel very well, and there's some weird white spots on the tire, so yeah, very strange. Next up, these Pro Grips. Again, I haven't ridden the bike yet, so I can't really tell, but they feel all right quality-wise. It's just that they're not quite as nice as like proper ODI grips, but then they're also a lot cheaper, so we'll see how these go. It's easy enough to swap out grips, but I'm happy to try new stuff if it's cheap enough. The last part I wanted to mention real quick is this Physique Gobi saddle with the carbon rails and everything. This saddle is probably the most expensive part on the bike. Actually, I'm sure it's the most expensive part on the bike, and also this is one of the worst saddles I've ever had. I do not like the saddle. Of course, it's a personal thing. It's just this does not fit my butt very well. And that brings me to my question to you guys. What bike do you want to see reviewed next? I have a tall order Ramp XL. This is a 2022 model year BMX bike. Yes, I'm missing the bar end. I know. I have to replace it before I ride it again. But do you want to see BMX content? Let me know. Another bike I still have to review is this Cox Trials bike. This is a 20-inch competition trials bike, and I'm not very good at riding it. I cannot ride this at all, even worse than the BMX bike. Maybe, probably, I don't know, I suck at riding little wheeled bikes. Now, I do want to get better at this, so this is probably more a long-term video, but I've had this bike for 15 months now, and I still can't really ride it very well. So yeah, maybe this won't make it to the channel, but let me know if you want to see content on trials or BMX or any other niche in the cycling industry. Let me know. Guys, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers!